Hello, good afternoon everyone. I am excited for today's live. It's a topic that's very close to my heart. Whilst I don't have egg donor conceived children, I do have sperm donor conceived children. So donor conception is something that I feel very passionate about. And so today I am being joined by Apricity Life and Altruy Egg Donation to discuss egg donation questions, FAQs, process, everything that you need to know and want to know about egg donation will be answered by the experts. So I'm going to join them in now. Being joined by Dr. Luca Sabatini, and he is the Chief Medical Officer at Apricity, and also Sarah Pallett as well. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
It's lovely to be speaking with you live today. Please could you introduce yourselves to our readers, and then we can talk about egg donation process and F&Qs.
Okay, thank you. I'm Luca Sabatini. I'm a gynecologist and the Chief Medical Officer of Apricity. I've also been, for the last 30 years, working in this field as an embryologist, as a doctor. I've been, and still are, one of the senior consultant at BARS Fertility Center, where I've been the clinical director for many years. But now I'm working with Apricity, changing the way we provide this very important service. I also was a patient myself, so I think I have an insight of the problem.
Yes.
Then into the start.
Hi, I'm Sarah Pallett. I'm the Egg Donation and Clinical Relations Lead for Apricity. Like Luca, I've worked within the field for over 30 years, working at various clinics, setting up clinics and leading egg donation surrogacy programs.
Fantastic. I was just explaining before you joined that donor conception is very close to my heart. I don't have egg donor conceived children, but I do have sperm donor conceived children because my husband is infertile. And so to raise the profile on third-party family building and all routes to parenthood, and to be able to have these conversations with experts such as yourselves so that people can have their questions answered is absolutely instrumental in people beginning the process, getting through the process, informing themselves, making the right decisions. So are you happy for me to ask you some questions?
Please.
Great. So first of all, I'd just like to say that recently Apricity and Altruy wrote a fantastic article for us, which we will link up in our bio. And that is all about the egg donation process from the beginning all the way through, and what you want to consider, why you may use an agency versus a bank, everything that you might want to think about, and everything about the egg donor as well. So if you'd like to read more, then please head to our link in bio to read what they've written for us. The first question I wanted to ask was a bit more about what Altruy and Apricity does generally.
I think I can start with Apricity. Apricity is a completely different way to provide the fertility services and help people fulfilling their dreams. When I joined Apricity, I was impressed by the seniority. All very senior people at every level, in the admin, in the operation, in the nursing, the medical team, they actually been joining this project, and there are people that have been top of their profession in the fertility world. So Apricity does not only oocyte donation together with Altruy, but also does fertility treatment and fertility diagnostic. We do follow our patient. Our patient has the possibility to have diagnostic and investigation close to where they live or where they work, rather than need to travel every day at a very fixed time to the clinic. So we have a network of over 100 places in the UK where the patient can have ultrasound, and the results are monitored and seen live by the clinical team, which sit in the office or in their own house, but they have we have a point of meeting every day discussing reviewing clinically the patient. So we offer IVF, we offer ovulation induction, we offer IUI, and we offer gamete donation like every other clinic. And we work with partners, leading clinics such as the Lister, King's, Manchester Fertility, IVF London. So all very specialized and very high quality clinic where our patient goes for a collection and a transplant. And then I leave Sarah to speak about Altruy.
Well, Altru is actually a brand of Apricity. You know, we're all one company, but the Altru part is just a brand, and that brand part is where we look at recruiting and matching donors with recipients. We offer a very tailored.
Has the sound
Sorry,
gone?
we had
Sorry, we had a bit.
Yeah, I had a bit of, yeah,
So,
there was feedback there, but we're okay now. I can hear you.
So we offer a very tailored service, a very one-to-one service, and what advantage it gives to recipients is that that service doesn't stop; it continues with the part that Lucas just explained. So we can actually provide recipients the service right from onboarding a donor right to the point of their embryo transfer, and so provide consistency and support throughout that journey.
Fantastic. And so in terms of someone who's looking at, an intended parent is looking at egg donation, what is the process of receiving donor eggs? Can you hear?
some of your questions. Sorry, can you repeat the question, because there is an internet issue.
No problem. For any intended parent, what is the process for for using an egg donor for receiving eggs?
So the process would be that, first of all, they're welcome to book a call with a member of the team, and during that call we would explain to them how, you know, the process works, how we recruit donors, how we would work with them on a very one-to-one basis, find out much more about them. We like to really get to know them, not just what their characteristics are that often are looked upon, particularly with egg banking, but we get to know them as a real person, what their likes, their dislikes are. And so then once we've done all of that, we would then really fine-tune what they're looking for a donor. And we do this also with our donors, so that when we think we have a match, there's a nice affinity there between donor and intended parent.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually a question that comes up a lot. In terms of the process of receiving eggs, how long might it take to match with a donor, and what information might you know about an egg donor?
On average, obviously, bearing in mind ethnicities and particular requirements, we are matching on average around about 6 to 8 weeks. As Luca explained, the way the clinical side works, it means that we can take a lot of the service to the donor. So we're able to onboard donors throughout the UK. All of our donors are UK donors. So this is why we have a good pool of donors, and we onboard donors every day. So this is why we think we're really great that we can offer clients a donor within 8 weeks, and that's on a one-to-one basis, which is again quite. That doesn't seem like
a very long wait time, to be honest.
No, we're very proud of our wait time, and that sometimes I must say it is even quicker.
Wow.
You know, because we do have a pool of donors, and if we have a donor that, you know, is already readily available for that recipient and their criteria, we have been known to match within a week.
Wow, that's incredible.
I think also what makes a bit of a difference in the perception of the patient is that our intended parents and donor, they start the process very often together, while in a traditional clinic, you know, the recipient or intended parents start the process once all the investigation is done. Mm-hmm. So very often, because as a clinic, we also deal with the recipient. We also deal by doing the investigation, setting up the recipient to the best possible way. That sometimes takes some delay. And this is where, you know, we need to decide what we consider the time from first query to the treatment, or the time from when the intended parent is ready for treatment to the transfer of the embryos. You know, so our client is slightly different, because we follow their journey through the investigation process, which sometimes this can take time. You know,
And which regions do you help people from?
Well, we have people from all over the UK. This is the question, because we have satellite clinics to provide the treatment up in the north. We are in the process of signing up other clinics as well. So
Yeah.
where the gametes and the embryos are stored, and also the embryos can be transferred. This is one of the benefits of archery, is that we may find the perfect match up in the north, even if the intended parents are in the south, and create the embryos up in the north, and then transferring them down to the south for the transfer, for the use of the parents. So, and actually, we are nationwide.
Mm-hmm. Do you get some intended parents coming internationally to use your services as well?
Yes, we have had some coming from overseas. We've had intended parents coming from Ireland. So yes, we do get them from all over.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of COVID, have you found that there has been a decline in the amount of donors, or is that something where you feel that you've got a great pool of donors, and so that's obviously a benefit for anyone who might be starting their search and wants to have lots of options?
No, I mean, obviously there was a period of time when COVID first hit us, where clinics were asked to cease practicing, but since that was lifted, we've had no issue onboarding donors at all. And as I say, we have a really good number of donors already, and we're building those numbers every day.
Amazing. And obviously that the wait time, as we said, it's really not much of a wait time at all. I mean, I can't, I'm sure everyone says this, but I can't believe that we're about to head into April. It feels like just yesterday it was the beginning of the new year. So, 6 to 8 weeks, even when you're trying to conceive and days feel like they're standing still, that's really not too long to wait. How does that compare to other places if you weren't going through Altrui or an apricity, for example? What might the wait time be through a clinic?
I think it depends what you're looking for. We cannot really compare ourselves, because there are not many other places offering single donor available for a fresh transfer. I mean, no, not many places have. I mean, we compare ourselves with clinics which they have a pool of frozen eggs, but then you need to think about what is the difference here. The difference is buying a limited share of oocyte from a donor which perhaps has also donated through the same cycle to another intended parents couple or individual. So I think, I work in this field for 30 years, and I think it's pretty much comparable. Even if you go abroad, even if you decide to go abroad today, you're not going to have an embryo transfer in 4 weeks. Realistically, you're going to take between 8 and 12 weeks to finish off your treatment. And this is what Sarah said. Because we got this ongoing onboarding of donors, we are actually able to match with the intended recipient very quickly. Of course, once the recipient knows that they can get more and more information out from our donor, then they carry on asking, and they becoming more and more demanding in terms of the specificity of donor they would like to have. While, if you go to a traditional clinic, what you're just going to be present with a pool of number of oocyte available with very few information about this.
I think it's important to remember that all of our donors are altruistic. So, like Luke says, sometimes the traditional clinic has got their own egg bank, or they offer the egg sharing program.
Yeah.
This is, we're not doing that. We're very much on a one-to-one basis, and all the donors are altruistic. So that's, again, something quite unique to us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so what might your patients know about an egg donor?
There are guidelines as to, what information we can get, and, we do have to remember that we must not pass over anything that remotely resembles identifying information at this, So they get information on what we would class as the basic characteristics, such as height, eye colour, hair, build, skin tone, things like that. But then, as I said, we go a little bit further and really build a profile of them. So get to know what their likes are, their dislikes, what their hobbies are, education, their career status, and we give them as much this information as possible without it becoming identifying for the recipients. So we want them to really grow an affinity with their donor.
I think that's such an important point, and a real plus to having that information available. Not the identifying information, but one of the reasons we picked our sperm donor wasn't just on blue eyes, 6'3", trying to match my husband the best we could. It was also what was his favourite food, what was his humour like, what were his interests, what did he study at university. Things like that were really important to us to try and kind of well, I guess it depends what kind of family building scenario you're in. But for us, we were looking to find someone who was quite similar to my husband. Whereas obviously for a same-sex male couple, or for a solo parent by choice, or for a heterosexual couple who may not have eggs to use, there are different things that you might be looking at or interested in when selecting a donor.
Absolutely, and that's why we feel it is so important to get to know the recipient, the intended parent, really what is important to them. And we are such a close team, both looking at the donor and the recipient. So we communicate daily on what donors we have and what recipients we've got. And so, the person who may have onboarded the donor will talk to that of who's dealing with the recipient or intended parent, and you really can communicate and go, yes, these two match in what you're saying and what I've gleaned from the donor. So we feel we offer that real tailored service to them.
One of the things that I have learnt from getting to know the fertility community over the last 3 years, I don't know how this compares to sperm donation. I mean, my husband and I were in a situation where it was very black and white. He had microtesty operation and it was not successful. So, we had limited choices as to how we were going to build our family. Whereas my understanding from getting to know the community and speaking to a lot of experts is that sometimes, for people to decide to use a donor, it can be perhaps a longer process in terms of lots of repeated rounds with your own eggs to try first before coming to that decision. So do you find the sort of intended parents that come to you, how far along in the process are they when they have made that decision to move forward with donation?
Well, I think it's very important because you are correct. You identify two different categories of individual, and very often they had a very long process through different journey, different clinic with different type of expectation which were given, and those expectations sometimes reflect also on the anxiety of the people that come to us. There is positive and negative. One of the positive is they are aware of what they need now, and they are aware of what the process is. And the reason why they decide to go through clinic like Altrui and apricity is because they are aware of what the child may need in future. The people now thought has shift. There's not the stigma anymore about the idea of having a child which is from a donated gametes. Actually now it's a bond to be able to give the opportunity to this child in future through the social network or to trace the genetic inheritance and find out which line they came from, why it was almost unthinkable 10 years ago. So patients definitely, they're more mature in their process, but also they're more difficult in the way to manage them because, they are patients which they have perhaps some anatomical issues with their genital organs, and that's the reason why we spend longer sometimes than we need. We have the donor ready, but we have to do a lot of more work, preparatory work on the recipient. So they are definitely more mature because they went through their experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if anyone has any questions for Dr. Sabatini or for Sarah, please do ask. You're welcome to DM us or DM the team afterwards to, have a further conversation and have a consultation, for example. I wanted to ask you, what are the benefits of using an agency versus an egg bank, in your opinion?
I think, again, this often comes down to a personal choice. An egg bank, yes, you have a library there to choose from, but it often comes across as being a very cold experience. What we have to remember, this is creating your family, and part of that is the experience that you get at the start will stay with you, regardless of, we hope, a positive outcome, but even if it's a negative one. And so that's what we feel we can offer. We can give you that personal touch. You've got someone who you can speak to as well. All of our team are highly experienced. They've worked in the field of fertility for a long time. So, we don't just limit our remit to just talking about this. We can be there to support you, talk about different things, whereas you don't get that from an egg bank. Yes, you have a library to choose from, but we think we're giving you, by engaging with you, getting to know them, is that we're going to give you a donor that is really going to befit our recipients and intended parents.
And it is such a big and emotional decision. It's so hard to know, whether you're making the right decision. I think that, anyone who's gone through it or is going through it will empathize with the fact that it's not a light decision, and it's something that you may not have necessarily thought that a decision you thought you might be making in life. I certainly felt like that. Suddenly to sort of pick genetics felt very, very strange, and I didn't really want to be doing it, but equally it was our way forward, and I couldn't imagine our children any other way. So what I do say to people, and third-party reproduction isn't for everybody, but to have people you can talk to who have sort of gone through it, and they have children through it, and to listen to donor conceived adults' point of view too. It's so important to get that kind of rounded experience around it to help you in your decisions.
Yes, I mean, this definitely does help. And another thing I want to point, really, between the difference between us and a traditional clinic is the way we handle the treatment. So having the possibility to have blood test and ultrasound at home, rather than need to travel at very unsociable hours or during your working time. We have a team 7 days a week until 9 p.m. Dealing with calls and queries. We're using very cutting edge technology. We have a team of 12 people just working on the tech side and developing apps which are very well received from patients, And also the fact that I think, by selecting donors in this way, I think we look after the health of the donors better. We don't feel we just using the donor for commercial reasons. I think we're looking after the donor. We actually, during investigation, sometimes we find that potential donors cannot be accepted for some medical reason, and this is where we help and advise and channel the donors towards the right way. Sometimes the information they get could be quite unexpected, devastating, about talking about their own fertility potential. So this is also what makes us different.
That's a really good point, actually, talking about the egg donors too. I mean, they're instrumental in this process. How do you recruit your donors? What kind of people come forward? Why are they looking to do it? What do they want in the future? Because of course, intended parents would want to know that kind of thing, even if it's anonymous, even if they can't know that until the child is 18.
We find the donors come forward for many, many reasons. It could be that a family friend or a work colleague, for instance, may have had fertility treatment themselves. They come forward if they've had their own treatment and they feel that they want to share that as well. They may have their own family and think, they want to give another couple that same gift. So we get donors coming forward from all reasons. Mm-hmm. As regards where we get our donors from, we have a great following on social network. It's through mouth to mouth. We're doing lots of different marketing campaigns, and as I say, we do that throughout the UK.
We just had a question come in, which is a really good question. Someone has just asked, do you screen donor eggs before they're offered to intended parents?
Do we screen our donors?
Yeah, so so for example, if you match someone, well, obviously there's the screening beforehand, but when matching with an intended parent and there's an egg retrieval, are the eggs then screened? Do you do PGS on them, for example?
We can do, yes, we do. We do not routinely, but we can offer that.
Okay.
And as you know, there are different type of tests we can do. We can do extended tests to the donor before the procedure of ovarian stimulation and oocyte collection, as well as we can do extended testing on the embryos once the embryos are created. This is all done it depends on the clinical history of the recipient and of the donor. So we do have in all our labs, we select our satellite clinics, which we're working with, exactly on this basis, the use of the most advanced technology, undisturbed blastocyst culture, the possibility to do PGTA and PGTM, so we do screen, but not routinely unless it's necessary. Because as you know, there is a controversy in genetic testing the embryos, which so far the studies have demonstrated to delay the time to pregnancy rather than give an advantage in the general population.
But also, egg donors are normally of a younger age, aren't they? So I presume that obviously that means that the egg quality hence being better.
Yeah, I think the benefit of young donors is that they give you the number, they give you the better quality. But there is always this percentage of oocytes which will be genetically abnormal, which normally they're not doing well in terms of fertilization. So there is a sort of natural selection as these eggs will drop down on the scale of quality as you look at them. But yes, we do try to select and match donor recipient as much as possible, also from the genetic point of view. And our screening at the start with when we select the donor and when we start matching the donor with the recipient is flexible. We have donors which they want an extended genetic screening, and we do offer all the possible screening that is available.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Thank you so much for answering that question. To finish, is there anything else that you think people should consider or think about when moving forward with egg donation or first steps?
I just think, main thing is to think about what contact and service that you're looking for. Remember, this is a very personal part of the journey for you. We understand a lot of intended parents, recipients, by the time they reach the decision to look for donor eggs, they have gone through quite a journey themselves, whether that's on having treatment themselves, whether it's through something unexpected such as surgery or things like that, or cancer, for instance. So it's really, think about what you're looking for, and it is a big decision, and it's a decision that is going to help you get your family. So, if you're going to have that with you. So really think about that side of it when it's choosing where you're going to go for your donor gametes.
I think the other point is that, as I said, yes, we came across in the beginning as an agency, but we are a clinic, and we really proud ourselves of very tight control on the clinical journey of both entity, donors and recipient. And I think as I said, you know, the decision, I mean, I'm quite senior in my field, and when I join because you find very senior people. I mean, and and there is a way that these applicities try to change the way that this can be offered to patients. You know, think about being able to do your blood test, your scan while you're at home.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity.
I think the other thing, Luca, with Apricity is that we offer an all-inclusive pathway.
Yeah.
You know, and that, so it's like I said earlier, we can take you right from finding your donor right through to the embryo creation and embryo transfer. And a lot of couples that have particularly been through their treatment themselves, they, you know, it's tough when they come to looking at how the cost implications and things are applied to this. We are very much on board that we want them to find this such an easy journey as possible. So when we are offering them the service, we include everything as much as we possibly can. So there's no sudden surprises and things. And we think that's another benefit that we're able to offer.
Absolutely.
Dependent parents.
Yeah, because people may go for another option where it's, I don't know, per cycle or whatever it might be, and find themselves spending more with non-successful cycles, I presume.
Yes.
Whereas if you're buying a certain amount of eggs, you may have multiple opportunities. Thank you so much for your time today. If there's anything else that you think people should know, please say. If anyone does have any questions for the team, please do send them to us, or you're welcome to DM Altrui and Apricity separately. As I mentioned before, for anyone who's just joined, they have written a fantastic article for us which outlines everything we've discussed today and more, everything you may want to consider about the egg donation process, how it works, costs, implications, thoughts, considerations, all of the above. So tap the link in our bio and you can read more about it and contact the team, who would be delighted to help. So thank you very much for your time today. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.